there. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. And welcome back to a ninth day of the 12 days of a scandalous Christmas story. Woo! Such a mouthful. Well, I am so glad that you are here. And we are getting into another story. And yes, we are perusing back into the nostalgia of a Christmas past. So, wow. This story that we're going to be going over today, I would have to preface though, is definitely one that I feel is more or less considered scandalous because it's still a mystery. And of course, it's an unfortunate situation that took place. And I think to this day, they still don't have all of the answers that they feel that they would need in order to completely solve what has happened with this mystery. And it's a mystery death of a very famous individual who was pretty famous many years and for a lot of years during her time, her reign as an actress, and that is Miss Natalie Wood. So definitely, I want you to set yourself back a little bit, but for some, you may recall this time frame and some may not. So it'll be a combination on this one because we're going back a little further for this particular sharing. And we're actually going back into the year 1981. So let's see what was going on back then. First, the #1 hit movie was said to be Indiana Jones, The Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, I know my mom and dad really enjoyed Indiana Jones, all of the movies. There's so many of them that have happened. My husband actually loves this series as well. I've watched a couple of them here and there. It's a great adventurous movie. Many people love it. It's a beloved series to many for so many years. The #1 hit song at the time was Betty Davis Eyes by Kim Carnes. And I do remember that song. It's been quite some time since I've heard it, but yeah, it was actually a pretty kind of a bop, I guess, for the time. And one of the most beloved and talked about celebrities in 1981 was actually the comedian and singer who was known as the Queen of Television Comedy and was a beloved figure in the entertainment industry, which is none other than Miss Carol Burnett. And of course, we all know who Miss Carol Burnett is. I mean, she has been entertaining us for so many years, and she's actually a really funny lady. As a kid, I remember watching a lot of her shows and her skits, and she did one of those like kind of comedy shows where you had different skits throughout the show, like the Sonny and Cher and all that kind of stuff. And so I do remember watching those, and she's done other funny movies as well, or funny shows as well. I don't know if she's ever done movies. Maybe so. I don't really remember. But she's a funny lady, and she is a bit of a treasure when it comes to the comedian world. So yeah, that was what was going on in 1981. So if you haven't had a chance to go ahead and pause this video, get yourself a cup of whatever warm or cold beverage you would like, whether it's a warm beverage or a cold spirit. Sometimes spirits can be warm too. Mine will be in my, trusty mug, but it's actually just water. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into this sharing. Let's see. So we are getting a sharing from eOnline. And it is let's pop it on and make sure that we can see who we're talking about. And this is a Miss Natalie Wood. And we're going to get to learn a little bit about what the circumstances occurred. And if, you were around at the time when this actually happened, maybe you might want to drop your thoughts on what you think about the story and just the whole situation, because I know it has been, just a mystery for many, many years, obviously. So let's go ahead and get into that. And again, the sharing is from eOnline, and it shares Natalie Wood's shocking death. Now, on November 28th, 1981, 2 nights after Thanksgiving, the West Side Story drowned during an evening. The West Side Story star, had drowned during an evening spent aboard a 60-foot yacht, Splendor, with husband Robert Wagner, another pretty famous celebrity as well, whom she had remarried in 1972. Now, 10 years after they divorced. Now, and their friend Christopher Welkin, or Welkin, is that how you say it? I think Woods co-star in 1983's Brainstorm, which I think he's another pretty popular celebrity as well. Now, an autopsy had determined that she had consumed 7 or 8 glasses of wine before she ended up in the water. But to this day, no one has been able to say for sure what happened, and the questions have never stopped. Now, in 2012, following a new investigation, the cause of on the death certificate was amended to read drowning and other determined factors. Now, Dwayne Razor, the retired Los Angeles sheriff's detective assigned to the case back in the 1980s, told 48 Hours in 2018 that she fell off the boat and drowned accidentally. If it was a suspicious situation, I would have worked the case as a unaliving. I didn't have any suspicion that anybody had injured or unalived or drowned her. He stood by his investigation completely, but he added, the poor lady just drowned. And so this, the situation as what makes it one of those things becomes a mystery is because they really don't know if they know the whole story. And there has been a couple of documentaries that have been available in regards to really investigating what they knew and certain things that may have come up, certain things that maybe individuals have started to talk about or say. I think also an opportunity it gave them to try to debunk some of the rumors associated with this. Now, I remember seeing an actual documentary, and I don't remember what year it was, but it was one in which they were kind of doing a reenactment of what possibly could have happened that night. And some of the things that was actually shared is that there might have been some arguing. Now, of course, we're going to say all things alleged because we don't know for sure. But there was a bit of an option of thought that maybe there was some arguing. Things got a little bit loud. Of course, alcohol was involved, and maybe a slip over wasn't necessarily what took place. But we don't really know. Now, of course, it was her and her husband, and I haven't heard anything that brought any closer to anything that he or anybody else would be a cause of her situation. But it's always continued to be a source of speculation. And I'm wondering if you actually had an opportunity to see that investigation yourself or have any thoughts in regards to this, if you have, been pretty much privy to this particular really mystery of a story, because it has been so much surrounding this situation. And I kind of feel like the documentary that did actually come out was one that came out probably as somewhat like an anniversary time of so many years later to kind of, bring some awareness to the situation, because it seemed like people were still trying to find out what had happened to this poor lady. Now, with that being said, I don't know at this point if the case is still considered open. I want to say that at the time that I saw the documentary, it was kind of one of those things that it's a cold case, but they didn't completely close it yet in case something else was to come about later. And I think this over the years, there's been so many different things of speculation and rumor and intrigue surrounding this mysterious death, because the situation was that no one really felt, I guess, that they knew what really happened. And also, case in point, that no one maybe really actually saw her go over. So maybe no one really knows how she went over. Get my drift? So of course, all things alleged, because we don't know what took place. And at this point, what is being shared at the time is that she simply probably that was inebriated and allegedly may have just unfortunately fell off of the yacht. From what I understand, the waters were pretty choppy in the evening, and so it could have very well just been that. But that mystery does seem to rear its head, where some kind of conversation started up again, and an investigation then ensues, or just a review of something that we've already seen, and maybe with one or two more added, maybe speculative options as to what could have happened that night. But at this point, we just obviously continue for her. I don't know if she had children or not, but for any family members that are still here, her surviving family members, I believe her husband, he's still alive too. I don't think he's passed away. But he would be, elderly at this time. Of course, all, continued prayers for them. And maybe one day they will find out more, if there is more to find out, or maybe it will just simply state the fact that it was just an unfortunate series of events that really just was a freak accident. And, it really robbed, individuals of, this individual. And for whatever reason, what was going on that night, we hope that there was no foul play. We hope that nothing ever comes up to say that it was, and that it was just, again, just an unfortunate freak accident. So yeah, not so much scandalous like some of the actual stories that we've covered, but definitely I think the reason why it's kind of named under that umbrella is just simply because it's still kind of a mystery in a sense, where people still question about the actual events of the situation. So, hey, we'll see if anything ever comes up. And but until now, it looks like they've just got it as an accidental drowning. So with that being said, we are now going to move on to the featured movie, in which we're going to look at a particular comment and a sharing of one of, I think, the longest running Christmas themed, well, yeah, it was Christmas themed movies, years. Now, this movie actually came from 1946, but it is a very popular movie. Many individuals do traditionally continue to watch the movie. I actually watched it when I was a kid myself. I was actually intrigued and I enjoyed it. And I was pretty young when I saw this movie, like really young. And I just, it was a black and white movie. Of course, during when I was a kid, we were color TV all the way. Maybe Technicolor. but it was a black and white movie, like I said, from 1946. And I watched it, I was pretty young. And it was, I don't know, I just was fascinated with the movie. And I thought it was actually pretty good. And but then I did question the fact that being at such a young age, what actually captivated me to the story of the movie wasn't the people or anything like that. It was the actual story. It was an interesting concept, and maybe even I don't know, interesting to feel like as a kid that I would be so intrigued with that. I don't know. But let's get into it anyways and see if you feel the same way as this one particular person felt in regards to this beloved movie, in which they weren't that thrilled with the movie themselves and didn't understand really the premise, I guess, of the situation, or really its importance, or why it was so popular. But let's go ahead and get into it. So that movie would be 1946. It's a Wonderful Life. Now, if you have seen this movie, go ahead and drop it down in the comment section and let me know what you thought of the movie. If this is actually a traditional movie for you, or you just happened to see it years ago, or whatever the case may be, and what did you think of it, if you can recall? And, if you haven't seen it, I would recommend probably checking it out for yourself to see if you felt the same way as this individual did. So let's go ahead and get into it. It is coming from BuzzFeed as well. So basically, what this individual had to say about this movie was that, well, I don't get It's a Wonderful Life and the hype of it being one of the greatest movies ever. I just don't think it's that great of a film. Ooh, ouch. Yeah, so that was pretty abiding, if you ask me. Now, if you are not familiar with this movie, basically the premises of is, as you can see, the gentleman here and his family, that he actually is a businessman who is going through a really difficult time, and it's during the Christmas season. And he's having such a difficult time that he just really wanted to know what it would be like, or more or less, where he wished that he wasn't any longer here, right? So didn't exist at all. And how many times have people been in that kind of a situation where you just sometimes just wish, would wonder maybe what it would be like if you did not, grace this thing called Earth. But that's what it focused on. What life would be like, what the people around you would have been like if you didn't exist. So that being said, the gentleman, has this, I guess, this lingering thought, and then it comes to pass by way of, and I think it's like an angel that comes down to him. I don't know, a Christmas angel or something like that. Kind of think of like, Christmas past, Christmas, how Scrooge goes through the different time frames, and he has like a kind of an angel guide that goes through those times with him. It's kind of that same premise, except for this guy, it's like going through the start of life, from whenever time he would have been born all the way up until adulthood, what would have been happening if he had not, existed. So that's the time frame. And, at the end, he does realize at this point that, obviously he was important. He is important. And he, life really was good and better with him being here, right? So that the people that were in his life fostered, whatever greatness in their life was because that he existed. So it's one of those type of movies, but it is really, really good. And the angel, I'll just call him Angel Guy, takes him through those times and kind of just asks him about how he's feeling. And as the beginning, he starts off being very defiant in the fact that he was not interested in being here anymore. And then as time goes on, he gradually starts to feel a connection with his life and starts to see things from a different perspective, and then gets to a point where then he then really does wish to exist again. And I can't remember the end of how that switched off. Like maybe he went to bed that night, not thinking that he could go back to his life, and then wakes up the next morning and voila, he's with his family members, and he's not grouchy. He's probably really excited, and I think he might have been that way, and maybe even to their surprise, like, oh wow, why are you so excited? Because of course they don't know about this time frame or time warp that he goes into. And but I thought it was a really good movie. So I was really surprised that it was a situation in which this individual didn't care for the movie so much. But I thought, I don't know. I kind of found it to be interesting. It was although again a black and white movie, a very adult matter, but I enjoyed it nevertheless. And I do remember it, and it literally is the last time I saw the movie, so I've never seen it since that point again. But something about that movie always stayed with me, and it was really the concept of when you think about things being hard in life, and you think about how you just really wish that you were not here, and really that you don't matter. And then you come to find out that no, that's really not true, that everybody has a purpose, everybody has a reason to be here. And you do matter. So it was a great message, I thought. And I think I will continue to like it. And quite frankly, I may actually, try to see if I can find it somewhere, streaming somewhere or whatever, and take a look at it again, because it was really good. And I want to see if I'm just as captivated with it now as an adult as I was as a kid. So but I definitely would love to know your thoughts about both these stories. If you know about the story about Natalie Wood and the circumstances surrounding her passing, and really have you followed any of the documentaries that have subsequently come out since, to really re-litigating, if you will, the events of what happened, trying to find out what really happened, and definitely, if you have, I would love to know your thoughts down below. And if you haven't, maybe take a peruse. And I mean, obviously, I think I've covered quite a bit enough in this sharing, but you most certainly can go back and take a look at maybe the 48 hours and Dateline or whatever they've got available for this, and recommend taking a watch at it. It is quite a mystery given situation, but then I wonder, is it really a mystery? Do we already have it solved? So, but I would love to know your thoughts. So definitely leave those down below. And I would love to know too how you're doing this Christmas season, and if there's any movies that you are watching, any favorite movies that you watch traditionally, or just period at and around the Christmas time. Go ahead, drop those down below too, because I'm looking for a couple of good movies to kind of take a watch in during the season, and we still got time left. So, but definitely drop those down for me. And of course, if you are new here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, because I would so love to have you. I would so appreciate just having you part of the family, part of the community. And definitely make sure you keep your all notification bells on, because guess what? I'll be back tomorrow with another, which will be the 10th day of Christmas. Well, I keep saying the 10th day of Christmas, but it is the 10th day of a 12th day of Christmas scandalous story. I don't know. Look, I'll remember it. But nevertheless, I'm so glad that you were here. Thank you so much for being here. And I think that'll do it for this video. And so I'm going to go ahead and bid you adieu. But you take care, be blessed, and stay safe and stay warm. Because my goodness, temperatures are crazily cold out here. So, definitely keep yourself safe and warm at the same time. And I do hope that you are continuing to enjoy your holiday season. And so with that, I will see you tomorrow. Bye.